Here we are in the first week of Lent, reading about the temptation of Jesus after 40 days of fasting in the wilderness. Of course, we already know that Jesus successfully resists the temptations and continues on in his ministry. Successfully. There's a word that can catch you, make you think. What does success of the kingdom of God look like? This is a passage that really can challenge us if we take the time to slow down and look at it a little more closely. After going through a lot, 40 days of fasting, the devil arrives and tempts Jesus 3 times with food and power and people. You want food? Of course you do. You've been fasting for 40 days. Well, here you go. All the resources you need are at your fingertips. You want power? It's yours. You could throw yourself off of the pinnacle of the temple and have angels catch you. Think of how much you could do with that sort of power. You want people, followers? I'll give you all the nations of the world. People, buildings, influence, it's all yours. Resources, power, people, success. All to do with what you will. If Jesus bows to the devil, to Satan, the enemy, the adversary, that's what he would have to do to get that now. After all he's been through, why not just take it? It would still be Jesus with the power after all, right? Except Jesus knows the corruption that would be at the core of it. And so he says, no, not that way. Not that way. If that is what it takes to achieve success, then he's going to give that success up. Because success that way is not success. It would be failure, utterly and completely. What does success in the kingdom of God look like? It's not something that can be seen from the outside. It's something that grows from the inside, which is why the source, the cause, the root has to be right. So, where does Jesus' strength and authority, where does Jesus' power come from? It's proclaimed for him in his baptism. This is my son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. It's lived out here as Jesus resists these temptations. We see accessing that reservoir of power is not to be done that way. So he doesn't. That's integrity. That's a leader. Jesus has it figured out, or knew all along. It's not about taking. It's about sharing. It's about love and sacrifice and not accepting a corrupted means for the appearance of a productive end. Jesus will come up with food for 5,000 people out of someone's lunch. Jesus will heal and cure and challenge and teach and change lives. He will have that level of power. Jesus will share the gospel and start a movement that becomes the church around the world, reaching across national boundaries and transcending earthly kingdoms. But he's not going to do that now. Not that way. This is going to be done God's way. The source and the means need to have that integrity. That's a leader. Someone who actually sees that way to cheat ahead, is presented with that option, but understands the magnitude and implication of what that would lead to. And knows also the cost of the right way. And takes that way anyway. Despite the cost, because of the magnitude. Because of what is at stake. If it's to endure, it needs to be that gospel and have that integrity through and through. What does success look like? May we learn from this passage and slow down enough to see the lessons for our own lives this Lenten journey.